you're clearly moving ahead of many. I mean, look, there are places in Europe and others that are talking now about what fully vaccinated even means, and even some states may ultimately get there as well. But you're obviously moving a bit faster. What was the thought process?
Well, the thought process, fortunately, is the really hard time was back in the summer when we tried to make what at that point was a tough decision to require 100% of our staff members to be vaccinated. Because you got to keep in mind, back this past summer, we estimated that around 60 to 65% of our staff members at USHG were vaccinated. So we knew we had a pretty big lift. We provided 45 days. We had counseling, bilingual counseling. And the good news was that we were able to bring almost everybody over the finish line. There were a few holdouts who said, it's just not something I want to do, and we respected that. And we told those people, by the way, if you change your mind, we want to hire you back. We've even had a couple of those. But now, at this point, the science has changed. And so we now know that fully vaccinated includes boosters. We didn't have eligibility for booster shots back in August. Things have moved so rapidly. And so it's truly an easier decision. What's been a little bit tougher has been watching this crushing wave of Omicron sweeping through New York City and certainly through the country. And we just, hospitality is a team sport. It's kind of like putting on a play on Broadway or playing a basketball game. If you can't field a full, healthy team, you're going to have to hit pause. And so we've made that decision as well. And we'll see how that goes. We hope it's a really, really swift pause.
What percentage of your employees have come down with Omicron? I ask because I think, you're on this pause right now. There are a lot of restaurant owners that are thinking, do I pause for a week? Do I pause for 2 weeks? Do I have so many employees that have it today that actually, hopefully, God willing, that it's a mild case, on the other side, they'll be very happy to be back at work?
Well, I don't have any idea what percentage of our employees have tested positive, but let me try to put something in perspective for you. And this has so much to do with what you were talking about with Dr. Gottlieb earlier, if we had had just one positive case of COVID back in 2020, or even in early 2021 before people were vaccinated, we may well have had to shut down the restaurant because anybody who had been in contact with that person would have to be quarantined. That's how far we've come. We didn't have vaccinations. We didn't have access to testing. We certainly didn't have boosters. And in fact, a year ago today, New York City was actually shut down by both the state and the city. I cannot say enough about how hard the city has worked and how hard the state has worked to keep New York open right now. And I think that's a great thing. So here's the thing, though. The reason that we're hitting pause on a small number of our restaurants right now is that if we cannot, in a very, very healthy way, field an entire team, if you have one manager out, two managers out, I hate to continue to make sports analogies here, but I'm a big hockey fan. If you've got one player in the penalty box, chances are decent you're going to have a goal scored on it. You got two, chances are really good. If you've got three in the penalty box, you might be best just to cancel that game and then wait till people can come back. And the good news is I don't think it's going to take that long. I hope I don't have to eat those words, but I think that as tough as it is to be making that decision to pause during what should be the busiest 2 weeks of the year, that's a big deal. It's actually an easy decision.
Two quick final questions. You've been a leader on this. Could you see a day, to the extent that rapid tests were cheap enough, where either you would rapid test all of your employees every night or rapid test everybody who walks into the restaurant? I mean, is that a possibility if the price point was down to a buck or two and was either subsidized by the government or there was just such a massive production that the price itself came down?
Well, we're actually investigating that this very, very minute. We're accessing all kinds of testing for our team because we believe that the minute anybody has a symptom, that if they could do that for themselves at home, or certainly if we could do that at the restaurant, or we also have a telemed service that we're working on with a company called Radish, which is outstanding. We think that that's going to have a great deal of effectiveness in terms of stemming the wave.